quick, Willie. Willie!
Give me one of these.
Hey, Willie! Once you're done, just come over, we've got a plan. Yeah, okay, so essentially they're going to make
100 metres.
Yeah, I can imagine.
The right-hand lane is fine.
Listen. Hey, Willie!
Why you always
Lying. This is why I'm purely the reason I'm not religious is because I'd go to hell. Yeah. Wait, bushy! Lead! Real slow up on the right hand side.
Yep.
To the front, and then we keep moving.
We keep moving, everyone will come around us.
Something I get asked fairly often is, do I miss being in the army? Do I miss life of being in the military? Because growing up, it's all I wanted to do, and it was a massive part of my life. And I think it's a hard question because there's parts that I miss and parts that I don't miss. Even like schools like that. But there's parts that are replaceable and parts that are irreplaceable. But I think the biggest thing I miss, and if you speak to any veteran, and definitely infantry veterans, what do you miss? They'll say, I don't miss the job at all, but I miss the boys. And that I can completely sympathise and agree with. I miss seeing all the guys every day. And I think it's a weird change going from, you go into an infantry company, 100 people, you see 100 of your best mates almost every day. And, within the battalion, hundreds. Maybe you're not friends with all of them, but you're in a very social environment. You're just thrust into it, and that can be a weird change getting into the military, is how many people you're exposed to. But you really miss it. I can go a full day and not speak to anyone but Lily, and that's weird. But I think in this question of missing the boys, missing the people you serve with, I think that actually comes before you leave the military too. And something I don't really hear many people speaking about is the infantry has a very high turnover rate and very low retention. And that's not just the Australian infantry, that's infantries in general, because it's so fucking hard and injuries are so prominent. And people just moving on. A lot of people join up. I knew one of my best mates actually is a fully qualified general practitioner doctor. He left med school, finished med school and joined the army because he's like, well, I'm going to do this for 4 years because I may never get another opportunity. And the infantry can be very much like that. So I digress. But the point I'm getting at is it can seem, your 4-year retention, you serve 4 years and then you can leave. It sort of feels like if you continue serving past that, the boys, so many of them leave. And I think this is a very hard thing for people who are serving. And I'm sure if you've served, you can relate to this. all the guys you got in with leaving, and those original guys you've got the memories shared with, and you've done everything with, start to trickle off and go. It's not that you won't be friends with them, but it's you're almost walking around the unit like, shit, I don't know anyone here anymore. And I know, I've only been out 4 months, and I went back in a couple of weeks ago, and it seems like I knew no one. And those original guys, they will always be, I think, probably some of your closest mates ever. It's not that you don't make other friends. It's just a weird loss when you start losing those guys that you went through, recruits and employment training and all of that with. That's a hard one, and I think everyone can relate to that at that 4-year, 2-year, whatever your sort of Rosso ends up. And I think a lot of people, and I'm very included in this, in the political sort of social environment at the moment, some would say we are closer to a large-scale conflict than ever. Now, I don't disagree or really agree with that. I'm sort of unbiased. I don't have a bloody crystal ball to gaze into. But there is an element of FOMO, of that fear of missing out, that if the boys, if the unit, if whatever, where you used to serve, did go into a conflict, even the redeployment into Afghanistan, another major conflict. And this might seem really weird to someone who hasn't served, but there would be a massive feeling of fear of missing out and fear of not being there. And that isn't some heroic bloody, I want to save the world thing. That's not that. It's missed opportunities too. Deployments is what people do. And, some people like myself didn't really have that itch scratched of everything you wanted to do. And yeah, that I think we would see if we rolled back into a large-scale conflict, either in the Middle East or wherever, you would see so many veterans who are there trying to get back in because of that FOMO feeling. And I think too, probably, and this is probably one that a lot of guys deal with, and I'm very much like this, is leaving defence and that loss of identity. I'm sitting here in my 7RAR hoodie. I still identify as part of the unit, but you always are. But there's that element of, well, I'm not at the moment, not anymore, and that can be hard. Since I was 18, that's what I did. I was in the army, and what do? I was a soldier. I was filling out a form the other day, and it was like occupation, and I was so used to just putting soldier and being so proud that I did that, and then being like, oh shit, what do I do now? And I think some people take on the identity of a veteran almost in a toxic way. You don't take on this proud vet, happy to do what I did, and now I do this. They take on that's all it is. All I am is a veteran, and I don't want to do that. And that occupation like box, I didn't want to put, what do you do? Veteran, because that isn't a thing you do. That's a thing you are, but it shouldn't become your entire identity. It should be a very large part, but not everything. Or that's just how I believe it as well. But I find too, one of the things being out is the veteran community is far more toxic than the serving community. And I can't really put my finger on why this is. Maybe it's just massive age gaps. Maybe there's people not sort of pumping up what they did to try and feel more involved in a group. I don't know. And it's something that idea of what you served isn't worth what they served. It's a funny idea. And I feel it too. Sometimes I go to events around other veterans and I'm like, holy shit, nothing I did compares to that. And I think that feeling is very natural, and there's nothing really wrong with that feeling, but you still should be proud of what you did. And the funny thing is, the people that have done the least tend to speak the loudest, and the people that have done the most speak the least. And the people that have done the most will never judge you and never sort of put down what you've done. And that's a funny one. I've met some of the hardest hitters that the Australian forces have ever put out, and none of them have ever been like, oh, you're a dickhead, you've done nothing. None of them have been like that. It's been, oh, good on you, mate, fucking whatever, and talk shit, have a bit. And that's how you tell the really genuine, really hard dudes. And I think the last part of this, in summary, is would I do it again? And of course I would. There's so many memories that are the times that were the worst are by far the best memories. And I wish I could relive some of it again. There's an old saying, I got told this when I was at Singleton School of Infantry at training, being it's the best time that you'll never want to live again. And it's very true. You know, it was so shit and so hard at the time, but would you do it all again? God, I would. And what makes it, like I said in the start, it's the boys. And if you're watching this and you're stealing, you are part of that. You know, the boys to you, well, you are the boys to them. And that's an important thing. And how they look after you, you should look after them. So, thank you very much. We're back. Still, we can't leave the house. But make another slow video, carry on a little bit. I hope you're all doing well. If you're one of the states that's looking to come out of this soon, fingers crossed for you. I hope you do. And cheers. Thank you very much, and have a great weekend or a great day wherever you are. Cheers.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah.